Frost-bound witches, the Snow Child of Fairbanks. Adeline Pierce stood in her son's bedroom doorway at 3:47 a.m., her bare feet numb against the frozen floorboards. The bed was empty, but something was sitting in the rocking chair by the window, something small, something wearing her son's pajamas. It turned its head slowly, too slowly, and smiled with a mouth full of teeth that hadn't been there 6 hours ago. "Mommy," it whispered, "why are you crying?" The voice was perfect. Every syllable, every inflection. It sounded exactly like her son. But the thing in that chair was not Marcus. And somewhere out in the Alaskan darkness, the real Marcus was forgetting his own name. Before we begin, I want to thank every soul that keeps returning to listen. You've turned whispers into echoes. If you haven't already, subscribe and stay close, because what you're about to hear is one story you won't forget. 12 hours earlier, Fairbanks had been beautiful. Adeline Pierce wiped down the counter of the diner where she'd worked for 3 years, watching the October sun dip below the horizon at 4 p.m. In Alaska, autumn didn't creep in gently. It arrived like a door slamming shut, swallowing daylight whole. She was 34, with calloused hands and shadows beneath her eyes that no amount of concealer could hide. Single motherhood in Fairbanks wasn't for the faint-hearted. The winters were brutal, the heating bills were worse, and loneliness had a way of settling into your bones like permafrost. But Marcus made it worth it. Her 7-year-old son was the kind of kid who asked questions about everything. Why does ice float? Why do moose have such big noses? Why doesn't the sun stay out to play in winter? That last question had made her pause. She'd grown up hearing her grandmother's stories, old Athabascan warnings about the dark months, about things that walked when the sun slept too long. The sun needs rest, she'd told Marcus, just like you. But what if something bad comes while it's sleeping? Adeline had kissed his forehead. Then Mommy will protect you. She believed it too. She had to. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and bacon grease, comforting smells, human smells. Adeline's co-worker, a heavy-set woman named Patrice, was gossiping about Halloween. "You taking Marcus trick-or-treating tonight?" Adeline nodded. "He's been planning his costume for weeks. Zombie astronaut." "Creative kid." Patrice lowered her voice. "Just stay on the main streets, okay? My cousin up in North Pole said there's been weird stuff happening. Kids coming home different." "Different how?" Patrice shrugged, but her eyes didn't match her casual tone. Quiet, forgetting things. One boy couldn't remember his dog's name, a dog he'd had since he was 3. Adeline felt something cold trace down her spine. "Kids forget stuff all the time." "Sure." Patrice didn't sound convinced. "Just stay on the main streets." By 6 o'clock, Marcus was bouncing off the walls in his zombie astronaut costume, gray face paint, a torn NASA suit Adeline had found at Goodwill, and fake blood dripping from his helmet. "Mom, hurry up! I'm coming! I'm coming!" The air outside hit her like a slap. -12 degrees, and the darkness was absolute, the kind of darkness that pressed against your skin, that made you feel watched. Adeline pulled Marcus close as they walked down Cushman Street, joining the trickle of other parents and children. The first hour was normal. Candy, laughter. Marcus running ahead, then circling back to show her his hall. It was near the old Presbyterian church that Adeline first noticed the child. Small, maybe 5 or 6, wearing a white parka with the hood pulled up, standing perfectly still at the edge of the sidewalk. "Hey there," Adeline called out. "Are you lost? Where are your parents?" The child didn't answer, didn't move. Marcus tugged her sleeve. "Maybe they're shy." Maybe. Adeline scanned the street. No adults seemed to be looking for a missing kid. "Sweetie, are you okay?" The child turned its head, not its body, just its head, and looked at her. The face inside that hood was pale, not white person pale, pale like milk, pale like snow, pale like something that had never seen sunlight. "Cold," the child whispered. Its voice was strange, layered, like two people speaking at once. "Oh, honey." Adeline's maternal instincts overrode her unease. "Come with us. We'll find your parents." The child smiled and began to follow. At first, Adeline told herself it was fine. The kid was probably just lost, probably just cold. She'd find a police officer, report a missing child, do the right thing. But something was wrong. She noticed it first with the breath. Marcus's breath fogged the air in thick white clouds, visible even in the dim streetlight. Her own breath did the same. The child in the white parka breathed, but no fog came out. Nothing. Then Adeline noticed the snow. Marcus left footprints, deep impressions in the fresh powder, size 3 boot marks trailing behind him. Adeline's own prints carved parallel lines beside his. But when she glanced back at the child in white, the snow behind it was untouched, pristine, as if nothing had walked there at all. Adeline's stomach dropped. "Sweetie, what's your name?" "Name," the child repeated, as if tasting the word. "Yes, your name. What do your parents call you?" The child tilted its head. "What does your son call himself?" Adeline's blood went cold. She hadn't mentioned Marcus. Hadn't said his name, hadn't called him her son. "Marcus, come here." Marcus was 3 steps ahead, comparing candy with another trick-or-treater. "One sec, Mom." "Now." Something in her voice made him obey. He jogged back, and Adeline grabbed his hand, his warm, living hand, and squeezed. "We need to go home." "But, Mom." "Now." She didn't look back. She didn't need to. She could hear the soft crunch of footsteps in the snow behind her, but when she finally turned at the corner, she saw only smooth, unbroken white where the child had been walking. Following without a trace, they made it home by 8 o'clock. Adeline locked the door, then the deadbolt, then the chain. She checked every window, pulled every curtain, and turned up the thermostat until the radiators groaned. Marcus stood in the hallway, his zombie makeup smeared with confusion. "Mom, what's wrong? Why'd we leave early?" "Just tired. Let's sort your candy, okay?" They sat at the kitchen table, dumping out Marcus's pillowcase. Chocolate bars, lollipops, packets of gummy worms, the haul of a successful Halloween. Marcus frowned. "That's weird." "What?" "I had more." He pawed through the pile. "I had way more. I remember getting like 10 Snickers, but there's only 2. Adeline stared at the candy. She remembered too. Marcus had hit every house on Cushman Street. His bag had been heavy, bulging at the seams. Now it looked half empty, deflated, as though something had been feeding from it the entire walk home. Maybe some fell out while we were walking. Maybe. Marcus picked up a Snickers bar, then put it down. "I'm not hungry anymore." That wasn't like him. Marcus had been talking about Halloween candy for weeks. "You sure? Not even one piece?" He shook his head. His eyes looked distant, unfocused. "Mom, what's the name of my teacher again?" Adeline's heart stopped. "Mrs. Patterson. You've had her since September." "Right." Marcus rubbed his forehead. "I knew that. I just forgot for a second." That night, Adeline tucked him into bed and kissed his forehead. His skin was warm, normal, but was it less warm than usual? She couldn't tell. She was afraid to check again. "Mom?" "Yeah, baby?" "What was that kid's name? The one in the white coat?" Adeline hesitated. "I don't know." "I don't either." Marcus's eyes were heavy with sleep. "But I feel like I used to." Adeline didn't sleep that night. She sat in the living room with every light on, listening to the wind scratch at the windows like fingernails. Around midnight, she heard something. A tapping. Soft. Rhythmic. Coming from Marcus's window. She grabbed a kitchen knife and crept down the hallway. Her socks made no sound on the carpet. The tapping continued. Tap, tap, tap. Patient, almost playful. She pushed open Marcus's door. He was asleep, blankets pulled up to his chin. The window was frosted over, ice crystals blooming across the glass in patterns that looked almost deliberate, almost like writing. Adeline stepped closer, her breath fogged. The room was freezing, Far colder than it should have been with the heat blasting. The smell hit her then, wet earth. Frozen meat, something ancient and wrong, like a cellar that hadn't been opened in 100 years. She looked at the frost on the window, and the frost looked back. 2 eyes, barely visible in the ice, child-sized, watching. Below the eyes, in the condensation, words had formed, traced by a finger that left no prints. He is almost mine. Then the eyes blinked. Adeline screamed. Marcus jolted awake. Mom? Mom? What's wrong? By the time she looked again, the frost was just frost. No eyes, no face, no words. But the cold remained. And outside, in the snow beneath Marcus's window, there were no footprints. Nothing to show that anyone had been standing there at all. The next morning, Marcus couldn't remember his middle name. It's James, Adeline said, trying to keep her voice steady. Marcus James Pierce. You've always known that. I know. Marcus stirred his cereal without eating it. I just forgot for a second. Kids forget things. That's what Patrice had said, right? But Patrice had also said kids were coming home different. Adeline watched her son all day. She called in sick to work. She didn't let him out of her sight. By noon, Marcus forgot the name of his school. By 3 o'clock, he forgot his best friend's name. By sunset, he looked at the family photo on the refrigerator, a picture of him and Adeline at the state fair last summer, and asked, "Who's that kid?" Adeline's heart shattered. "That's you, baby. That's you." Marcus squinted at the photo. "It doesn't look like me." His skin was pale now, paler than it had been that morning. And when Adeline touched his forehead, his warmth had faded to something tepid, room temperature, like he was slowly becoming part of the cold. "Marcus, do you remember my name?" He looked at her. For a long moment he didn't answer. Then, "Mom." But there was a hesitation, a flicker of confusion, as if he wasn't sure anymore, as if he was guessing. Adeline found her grandmother's journal in the cedar chest at the back of her closet. She tore through old photographs, beaded jewelry, bundles of dried sage, until her hands closed around a leather-bound book filled with shaky handwriting. She flipped through the pages, desperate. And there, in an entry dated 1962, she found the truth. The snow children come when the darkness grows long. They are not ghosts. They are not spirits. They are the Hollow Fae, creatures of old witchcraft that survive by taking what makes us human, warmth first, then memories, then names. Adeline's hands trembled. She kept reading. They leave no footprints because they are not fully in our world. Not yet. They exist in the space between, in the cold that seeps through cracks. But once they have taken enough, once they have stolen a child's name completely, they become solid, real. They take the child's place, and the original child wanders into the snow, forgotten by everyone who ever loved them. Even their mother will not recognize them. Even their mother will look at them and see a stranger. Adeline slammed the journal shut. Her breath came in ragged gasps. She ran to Marcus's room. He was sitting on the floor, staring at the wall. Not playing, not reading, just staring. "Marcus." No response. "Marcus James Pierce." He turned his head slowly. His eyes were glassy, empty. "Who's Marcus?" Adeline grabbed his shoulders. "You're Marcus. You're my son. You're 7 years old. You like dinosaurs in space. Your favorite food is macaroni and cheese. You hate bedtime and you ask too many questions. You're Marcus." He stared at her, through her. "I don't remember." The words were flat, toneless, like a recording, and his breath, Adeline watched his breath. It didn't fog anymore. "No." She pulled him into her arms. He was cold, so cold, like holding a snowman. "No, no, no, please, no." A tap at the window. Adeline looked up. The child in the white parka stood outside, right outside Marcus's window. Its hood was down now, and Adeline could see its face clearly for the first time. It looked like Marcus. Not perfectly, not yet. The features were slightly off, the nose a little too small, the eyes a little too far apart, like a copy made by someone who had only seen the original from a distance. but it was getting closer, more accurate. With every memory it stole, the resemblance grew stronger. The snow child pressed its palm against the glass and smiled. "Thank you for keeping him warm for me," it said. Its voice was clearer now, stronger, almost human. "He's nearly ready." "Give him back." Adeline's voice cracked. "Please, I'll do anything. Give him back." The snow child tilted its head. "Back? He was never yours to keep. Children are borrowed. Names are borrowed. Warmth is borrowed. I'm simply collecting what was always owed." "He's my son." "He was." The snow child's smile widened. "But what is a son without a name? What is a mother without a child who remembers her?" The glass began to frost over, spreading from the snow child's palm like infection. "By morning he will be empty, and I will be full. I will wear his name, sleep in his bed, eat at your table, and you will love me because you won't remember that he was ever any different." "No." "You'll forget him, Adeline. Everyone forgets. That's the kindness of it, the forgetting." The frost covered the window completely, and when it cleared, the snow child was gone. Adeline didn't sleep. She couldn't. She held Marcus in her arms all night, rocking him like she had when he was a baby. He didn't respond, didn't speak. His body was cold and getting colder, and she could feel him slipping away, not physically, but essentially. Everything that made him Marcus was draining out, leaving behind a shell. She talked to him anyway. "Remember when you were 4 and you tried to catch a butterfly with your hands? You chased it all the way across the yard and fell into the kiddie pool." Nothing. "Remember your first day of kindergarten? You cried and I cried, and then you came home with a drawing of us holding hands." Nothing. "Remember last Christmas? You wanted a telescope so bad, and I saved for months, and when you opened it, your face just lit up?" For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in his eyes. "Scope?" "Yes," Adeline's voice broke. "Yes, baby, the telescope. You love looking at the stars." "Stars," Marcus repeated. The word came slowly, like he was pulling it from deep water. "I remember stars." Hope surged through Adeline's chest. "That's right. What else? What else do you remember?" Marcus's brow furrowed. He was trying. She could see him trying. "I remember cold." "No, baby. Something warm. Remember something warm." "I remember a voice singing in the snow." Adeline's blood froze. "What voice?" Marcus looked at her. And for a moment he was there, really there, her son, her Marcus, looking at her with terrified eyes. "Mom, something's wrong with me." "I know, baby, I know. I'm going to fix it. It's inside me, Mom. It's been inside me since Halloween. I can feel it. It's so cold." Tears spilled down his cheeks, real tears, warm tears, the last warmth he had left. "It's eating me. It's eating everything." "Fight it. Marcus, please, you have to fight." "I can't remember your name." The words hit Adeline like a physical blow. "It's Adeline, Adeline Pierce. I'm your mother." "I know you're my mother." His voice was fading, growing distant. "But I can't remember your name. I can't remember my name. I can't remember anything except the cold and the voice and the singing." He stopped. His eyes went glassy again. And when he spoke next, his voice was different, layered, like two people speaking at once. "She's here." The temperature in the room plummeted. Adeline's breath fogged. Frost crept across the floor, spreading from the window in delicate, deliberate patterns. The lights flickered. The smell of frozen earth and ancient ice filled her lungs, and the window opened, not shattered, not forced, simply opened as if by an invisible hand. The snow child climbed through. It was different now, complete. The face was Marcus's face, every detail perfect. The same dimple in the left cheek, the same cowlick in the hair, the same tiny scar above the eyebrow from when he'd fallen off his bike last spring. It was Marcus, and it was not Marcus. "Thank you for taking such good care of him," the snow child said. It walked toward Adeline with Marcus's walk, Marcus's posture, Marcus's tentative smile. He was delicious. "Stay away from us." "Us?" The Snow Child laughed. It sounded exactly like Marcus's laugh. "There is no us anymore. Look at him, Adeline." "Really look!" Adeline looked at the boy in her arms. His eyes were open, but there was nothing behind them. No recognition, no fear, no love, just emptiness, a hollow where her son used to be. "He's still in there somewhere," she whispered. "He has to be. He's in the snow now, wandering. Forgetting. Soon he'll forget he was ever human at all. He'll become part of the winter, part of the cold between worlds." The Snow Child sat down on the bed. Marcus's bed. "But don't worry. You won't miss him." "I'll never stop missing him." "You will. By morning, you won't remember he was ever any different. You'll look at me and see your son. You'll make me breakfast, take me to school, tuck me into bed. And the thing in the snow, the thing that used to be Marcus, will freeze, alone, unmourned, unknown." The Snow Child pulled the blankets over its legs and smiled. "Now be a good mother, Adeline. Turn off the light. It's past my bedtime." Adeline Pierce stood in her son's bedroom doorway. The boy in the bed looked exactly like Marcus. Same face, same pajamas, same stuffed dinosaur tucked under his arm. But she remembered. She remembered the trick-or-treating, the child with no footprints, the fog that never left its mouth. She remembered the candy disappearing, the memories fading, the cold creeping in. She remembered Marcus, her Marcus, crying in her arms and saying something was eating him. She remembered, and as long as she remembered, it wasn't over. "I'm going to find him," she whispered. "I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how cold it gets. I'm going to find my son and bring him back." The thing in the bed didn't respond. Its eyes were closed, breathing even, peaceful. But as Adeline turned away, she heard a whisper. Soft, almost imperceptible. "You won't remember by morning." She stopped. "We'll see." Adeline walked down the hallway, pulled on her coat, and stepped out into the Alaskan night. The cold hit her like a wall. -20 degrees. The kind of cold that killed. But somewhere out there in the frozen darkness, her son was wandering, forgetting, fading. She had until morning before the forgetting took her too. She started walking toward the snow.